Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're embarking on a seriously incredible journey. We're mapping the entire arc of artificial intelligence. Think about this for a second. Biological evolution took literally millions of years to develop human cognition. But in just a handful of decades, we've gone from tinkering with really simple computer rules to creating what honestly can only be described as an alien intelligence. It's wild. This isn't just a dry timeline of technology. No, this is a story of human hubris, decades of sheer disappointment, a sudden explosion of digital magic, and, well, our current state of collective awe. So, let's get right into it.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our agenda for today. We're covering about 70 years of history in 6 clear steps. The birth of AI, the invisible era, the dual-edged sword, the LLM arms race, becoming infrastructure, and finally, the synthetic future. Section 1. The birth of AI.
To really understand where we're headed, we actually have to look back at the academic roots of all this. Consider the sheer audacity of the pioneers at the 1956 Dartmouth Conference. Researchers like John McCarthy, Marvin Minsky, and Claude Shannon, these guys essentially stated that every aspect of learning and intelligence could be reduced to a precise, programmable recipe. They genuinely thought they could map out the entirety of human intelligence over a summer vacation. I mean, spoiler alert, it was a little bit harder than that, but it perfectly encapsulates the incredible ambition, maybe even hubris, that kicked off this whole scientific pursuit.
Well, that initial hubris hit a brick wall pretty fast. For decades, researchers relied heavily on what's called symbolic AI. This meant programmers were writing out explicit, rigid rules for the machine. You know, if X happens, then do Y. Now, the key takeaway here? Teaching an AI strict human logic works brilliantly if you want to beat a grandmaster at chess, but it fails miserably when it hits the messy, unpredictable reality of everyday life. I mean, try writing an if-then rule for understanding a joke or recognizing a face in a crowd. It just doesn't work. Because it failed to live up to the massive, massive hype, we entered the AI winters. These were brutal periods in the 1970s and 1990s where funding just completely dried up.
Section 2. The invisible era.
It's really vital to remember that long before AI was a conversational chatbot sitting on your phone, it was actually operating entirely behind the scenes. This was fueled by a massive shift toward machine learning in the 2010s. Basically, instead of writing rigid rules, scientists just started feeding mountains of data to algorithms, letting the machines figure out the patterns themselves. And this brilliantly illustrates how you actually felt this shift constantly. Every single time Netflix perfectly guessed what you wanted to watch next, or Facebook automatically tagged your friends in a photo, that was machine learning at work. We also saw early, narrow assistants pop up, like Apple's Siri in 2011 and Amazon's Alexa. We might forget it now, but those early voice assistants were heavily mocked for getting things wrong. Back in this era, AI was just a helpful background tool. It certainly wasn't a conscious-seeming entity.
Section 3. The dual-edged sword.
As those underlying machine learning models kept evolving, the technology grew drastically more powerful. And because of that, we're watching a really profound societal divide unfold right now. You're probably feeling this tension yourself, right? You're thrilled by how fast you can draft an email or summarize a document, but maybe a little anxious about what it all means for your career in 5 years. On the advantages side, we are seeing unprecedented hyperproductivity and just incredible scientific acceleration. Take DeepMind's AlphaFold, for example. It predicted the structures of hundreds of millions of proteins, basically advancing biology by decades in one go. But the fears are equally real. There's significant anxiety around economic displacement. There's the threat to our shared sense of truth with deepfakes blurring reality. And ultimately, there's existential risk. That's the concern that if an AI becomes truly general, its underlying goals might not actually align with human survival.
Section 4. The LLM arms race. Okay, let's snap the rubber band for a second and slow down. We really need to focus on the exact catalyst that brought all those massive fears and advantages to a boiling point. Just think about the staggering scale of this number, 100 million. That represents the number of users ChatGPT acquired in just 2 months after it launched in November 2022. It was the undeniable iPhone moment for AI. For the very first time, the general public could just log on and interact with a machine that actually understood context, admitted when it made mistakes, and wrote with stunning human-like fluency. The whole world panicked and marveled in equal measure.
Let's move to the clash of the titans and see how this builds into an all-out, multi-billion-dollar arms race. We had that initial spark in late 2022 with ChatGPT. Then, stepping into the ring in early 2023 was the safety-focused challenger, Claude. Late 2023 brought us the massive disruptor, DeepSeek. And looking into 2025, we're seeing these rapid, blistering iteration cycles from models like GLM 5.2. These companies aren't just putting out apps anymore. They are distinct characters fighting tooth and nail for absolute global dominance.
To really understand the tension inside this arms race, consider the Claude Fable ban incident. It's fascinating. Anthropic built Claude with incredibly strict constitutional AI guardrails. The goal was to ensure it was always helpful, harmless, and honest. But it created a really interesting paradox. Because of these incredibly strict rules, third-party developers who were building creative storyteller or fable generator apps suddenly found themselves banned. The AI simply refused to write about violence or romance or really any morally gray situations. So an AI built to be perfectly safe ended up breaking the apps of developers who literally just wanted to generate creative fiction. It brilliantly illustrates this intense tug-of-war happening right now between open creative freedom and corporate safety filters.
Looking at the current landscape, the sheer diversity of approaches is incredible. ChatGPT continues to drive human-like fluency. Claude dominates long context safety. It's capable of digesting entire books at once. But then you have DeepSeek. This Chinese startup absolutely shocked the world by releasing open-source models performing right on par with the top American ones, but trained at a mere fraction of the cost. It completely shifted the global economic perception of AI. And then there's GLM. The biggest takeaway here? AI isn't a massive once-a-year event anymore. It's becoming exactly like your phone software. It's updating quietly in the background every single week, constantly tweaking its math capabilities and bilingual fluency.
Section 5. Becoming Infrastructure. With this intense arms race fundamentally altering the tech landscape, AI has officially ceased to be just a novelty chat window. Today, it's a multimodal entity. What does that mean? It means it writes the code that runs our software, it drafts our complex legal contracts, and it even edits the videos we watch. Crucially, it now acts as an invisible brain and an autonomous agent. It can browse the web, book your flights, or fill out massive spreadsheets without you having to sit there and babysit it. It can see, hear, and speak. This isn't just about cool new tech anymore. This is about a fundamental tectonic change to how you will work and live. Honestly, it's the new electricity.
Section 6. The Synthetic Future. So, what is the ultimate destination of all this insane computing power? Well, the crucial point is this specific concept: Artificial General Intelligence, or AGI. This means an AI that is as smart as a human in every conceivable way. This isn't a sci-fi movie plot anymore. This is the explicit, stated target that the industry is furiously trying to hit between 2027 and 2030. Just pause and think about that timeline for a second. 2027. We are talking about a few short years, not decades. The stakes here are absolutely massive.
The roadmap that the experts project looks a little bit like this. Step 1 is reaching that AGI milestone. Step 2 is the widely held belief that once AGI is achieved, the system will rapidly self-improve into ASI. That's artificial superintelligence, meaning it will outthink humanity across literally every domain. Step 3 is where figures like Sam Altman and Jensen Huang see all of this landing: human-AI symbiosis. In this projected future, the AI handles the heavy cognitive lifting. In this symbiosis, your value is no longer in crunching data or memorizing facts, but in your taste, your empathy, and your uniquely human direction.
However, there is a starker ultimate prediction we have to acknowledge here: the bifurcation of humanity. This is the hard, neutral reality that a lot of economists foresee: a deep, profound societal split. A world divided between those who can successfully harness and direct AI to become infinitely more productive, and those who cannot, finding themselves permanently economically sidelined. That is the ultimate takeaway of our explainer today. Your ability to harness these tools isn't just a fun little advantage anymore. It might be an absolute economic necessity.
We started back in 1956 by trying to teach machines rigid rules just to play a game of chess. Today, we've created a synthetic colleague that can write poetry, solve complex quantum physics, and honestly, mimic the human soul. We are no longer just reflecting human logic, we are building something entirely new. Which leaves us with this final, incredibly provocative question. What does it actually mean for humanity to collaborate with an alien intelligence built by our own hands? I really hope this journey has brought you some clarity today, and more importantly, leaves you hungry to keep learning about what comes next.